deal with another cultural issue that churches have turned to a doctrinal issue. It's a cultural issue, but they have turned it to a doctrinal issue because they have failed to understand the implication of culture in the interpretation of scripture. But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered. Deal with another cultural issue that churches have turned to a doctrinal issue. It's a cultural issue, but they have turned it to a doctrinal issue because they have failed to understand the implication of culture in the interpretation of scripture. Covering of a head. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 1. PJ, you read for me. 1 Corinthians 11 from verse 1 to 16. 1 Corinthians 11 from verse 1. Let's go, woman of God.
Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ.
Next verse.
Now I praise you, brethren, that ye remember me in all things, and keep the ordinances as I delivered them to you.
Next verse.
But I would have you know
No, hold on, baby. Take note of the word, the ordinances. Underline that word, the ordinances. And keep the ordinances as I deliver them to you. Read verse 3 for me now, girl.
But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ.
The head of every man is Christ, yes.
And the head of the woman is the man.
Yes.
And the head of Christ is God.
So the head of every man, Christ. The head of the woman, man. The head of the man, Christ. The head of the woman, man. Look at verse 4.
Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head.
Having his head, not hair, head covered, dishonoreth his head. Who is the head of the man? Christ. So if you cover Christ, you dishonor Christ. Verse 5.
But every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head, for that is even all one as if she were shaven.
A woman praying or prophesying with her head, not hair, head uncovered. Who is the head of the woman? The man. Okay, verse 6.
For if the woman be not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it be a shame for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her be covered.
Verse 7.
For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man.
Verse 8.
For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man.
Verse 9.
Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man.
Verse 10.
For this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels.
Verse 11.
Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord.
12.
For as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman, but all things of God.
13.
Judge in yourselves, is it comely that a woman pray unto God uncovered?
14.
Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man have long hair, it is a shame unto him?
15.
But if a woman have long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given her for a covering.
Her hair is given to her for a covering. So when she wears scarf, she has double covering. Hello? Verse 16.
But if any man seem to be contentious, we have no such custom, neither the churches of God.
Underline the word custom. We have no such custom. Remember, we saw ordinances. Now we are seeing custom, neither the churches of God. Now, hurriedly interpreting the above text could imply, number one, every man is the head of every woman. If you're in a hurry to interpret. Number two, women must cover their heads physically whenever they are in public places by the use of a head tie. Number three, to do otherwise will be to dishonor every man that is present in those places. That is a hurried interpretation. But as we earlier explained in detail in this teaching, it is important to read the context and also the historical context of the explanation of the writer in order to accurately interpret the intent, the message the writer passed